Okay, we will call to order the October 19th meeting of the Michigan City Public Board of Works and Safety. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, God, indivisible, liberty, and freedom for all.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that all board members are present. We have a quorum. First on the agenda will be approval of minutes from our regular meeting of October 5th, 2020.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the October 5th, 2020 meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of our last meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have request for street closure. Johnny Stimley, event coordinator, is requesting the closure of Franklin Street from 11th to 4th Street for the Snowflake Parade on December 5th, 2020, starting at 4 p.m. Lineup will be on the east and west sides of 10th Street. I do see Mr. Stimley is here. Do you have anything to add, sir?
Oops, thank you. If the board had any questions, we're going to asking for permission for the Snowflake Parade, which we run with the Michigan City Fire Department for December 5th for the closure of the street.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Stimley?
Nope.
Any comments from the public? No, hearing none. Do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the street closure for the Snowflake Parade on December 5th.
Sorry for interrupting.
And we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have approval for fencing. Myra Remmel at 139 Boyd Circle is requesting approval to place split rail fencing in the cul-de-sac in Edgewood to protect the evergreen trees that the city provided and planted for the neighborhood. The fencing and any damage done to it will be paid at the neighborhood's expense. Is Ms. Remmel present? And please state your name and address for the record.
Myra Rimmel, 139 Boyd Circle, Michigan City, Indiana. My husband and I have lived in that house for 43 years, a long time. And my other neighbor is with me, Chris. And what we want to do first, the trees were gorgeous when we first moved in. A truck got lost. It was looking for Jewel, I think, and it tore up all of the trees. So then we talked with the city, and the city said that they would put trees in, and they did, and they've grown beautiful. They've been up for like over 10 years now. But what's happening is when the snow piles up and they come in the cul-de-sac, they start shoveling the snow. And this opening, I sent pictures, they shove it in that one space. And if the snow keeps coming, they keep shoving it and shoving it and shoving it. And I showed you some pictures of some of the branches that have broken off. And as soon as the branches start breaking off, they're not going to come back. And it's a beautiful area back in there, and we want to keep it that way. So we're requesting that we put in a split rail fence, because there's 2 split rail fences when you come into the cul-de-sac. And then we just put another one there. Owners, the neighbors will pay for it. The city doesn't mow that cul-de-sac. We mow it. We take care of that area in there and have for all these years. So all we want to do is to protect the trees. And then I have the signatures of the neighbors. So I don't know, because it's your property, it's not ours. We need permission in order to do that. So if somebody would come in and they would hit the fence, it would be at our expense to fix it, not the city's. So the city, the only thing they have to do is say yes. It doesn't cost you anything.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the board?
Mr. President, I would like the input of our Street Department Director, Mr. Sean Smith, on this. We've talked about this at length.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith?
Good morning, Sean Smith, Street Director. I have recently spoke with Ms. Rummel on the phone. What's going on here? It is a cul-de-sac. We do respect, our trees. My only question to that is, who would assume liability for traffic hitting this fence? There's no guarantee that during the snowfall that I can get a vehicle or equipment in there to get that snow and ice removed. They're going to assume responsibility for the fence, I understand that, but it would have to be who's going to assume responsibility for any accidents, any vehicle damage sliding into that split rail fence. What I would suggest doing is getting snow markers. Snow markers from your local True Value, Walmart, the typical little 8-inch, 3-foot snow markers. Put them around the perimeter of the cul-de-sac, and then that indicates to plow drivers not to push snow onto this easement. Also, with the split rail fence, you pushing snow, so what's going to happen? It'll build a wall. Then eventually, that snow is going to cascade down and create an obstruction, preventing flow of traffic, potentially going through this cul-de-sac.
Sir, no, if you're going to speak, we'll ask you to speak, but we'll want you to come up to the microphone. So, does the board have any other questions for Mr. Smith?
The only thing that I would... My mom was in a nursing home, and there's 3 shifts. Just like you have different shifts and different people. You give them instructions. They don't always get the message, or they interpret it the way that they want to interpret it. And so it may follow through the way he says, or it may not. I'm hoping that it would. The sticks sound like a good idea. We were just trying to come up with a way to protect the trees. One time they hit it good, and they're going to be gone. And you saw the trees, they're beautiful, and the city gave them to us, and we want to protect them. So I don't know, whatever you decide, we're going to go along with. But we were just trying to think of something that would go with the theme that we already have going on coming in, because there's already split rail fence on this side and this side, and so it would just be in the front there in that one area. There's not a lot of traffic that comes in there because it's a cul-de-sac. There's no, you just go around and you go out. Sometimes if somebody gets lost, they'll come in there, but if they're just visiting people, that's about it. So it's up to you what you decide that you want to do. But we're willing to take responsibility. I can't take responsibility for your vehicles, but we can take responsibility for the fence. Because what happens also, they tear up that grass every year because of the snow. They come in and they dig out the grass, and then we have to wait for the grass to come back. So it's up to you to decide what you'd like to do, but we'd like that area maintained and looking beautiful because it's a pretty area in there.
Okay, thank you. Just a moment, Skylar. Sir, did you have a comment you wanted to make? Please state your name and address for the record.
Chris Walker, 133 Boyd Circle, Michigan City, Indiana. We moved in about 2 years ago. We met Myra and John Rimmel. I did use the stakes in the grass area last year. I put 3 out. They were mowed down by the plows. The position of where we are wanting to put the fence is about 3 to 4 feet away from the paving of the cul-de-sac. So I wouldn't see any vehicles damaging that area because it's a cul-de-sac area. Only 4 houses are on it. We don't have any traffic that comes around there. As she mentioned, it's only our homes. The only the trucks that go through there is the trash truck, lawn truck, and the plow truck throughout the whole year. But we just want to protect the area and make it look nice. I mow the area. I weed the area. I put fertilizer out. So, and like he's mentioning with the stakes, I've used them. They get ignored. So we just want something that will at least try to hinder that area.
Thank you. Skylar?
I just want to add, I'm Skylar York, the Director of Planning. This is pretty, things in subdivisions are improved. They become public improvements at that time. This is actually in your right of way, Board of Works, purview of the Board of Works. I would just say, echoing kind of Sean's comments, is that there should be some type of memorialization. Usually, typically, these are done at the time of subdivisions. You would memorialize, like there's a fence here. It belongs to the association or something of that nature. I'm just saying that if I know that they're saying they're going to maintain it and all that, I just don't want 10 years from now, 15 years from now, it gets mowed down by someone backing out of their car, a house or something like that, not us. And then they come to us and say, oh, you need to put the fence back up because they don't remember that there was a memorial that they installed the fence. That happens very often. And then we have to go back and find that. So that's my only comment. Just memorialize it somehow.
Thank you, Skylar. Ma'am, I believe we need some input from our legal counsel on this because it is somebody private putting something up on city-owned property, so.
So it is the city's right of way. You can give permission to put something up on the right of way. You can memorialize it. The only problem I see with memorializing it is that ownership can change in the future because we don't technically have a subdivision with a developer that we're making an agreement with. So it's really up to this board's discretion. Do you want to do it? We can put something in writing, but there's nothing to say, like I said, in 10, 15, 20 years that ownership of the property might not change and we have a contract with certain owners at this time.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments from the board members?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a comment. I can understand the interest of the local residents. You have a very pretty neighborhood and aesthetics are an issue. Considering it, I hope that we don't get a snow for at least the next 30 days. I'd like to make a motion that we postpone a decision on this just so that we can have a meeting of the minds, so to speak, at that location. I know you don't want simple traffic markers, and I don't blame you, but I'm in contact with Mr. Smith throughout the winter every day, and it does really logistically pose a problem to our keeping that cul-de-sac open if we get a snow. But I'd just like to get the required people out there, work out a solution. We'll put something there, and that will not detract from the appearance of your neighborhood. And then we can move forward. But that is my motion to postpone a decision on this till our next meeting, which is approximately 2 weeks or 3.
Well, ma'am, I think we're done with the public comment part of
Yeah,
this.
it was hard for me to hear what you said. You said postpone it? Is that what you said?
Yes, he is tabled
Postpone it for just 2 weeks or whenever our next meeting is. And during that period of time, a representative or more than one of the city will interface with you. We'll meet out there and look at what we're really dealing with and generate a solution that's acceptable to everyone.
Okay, I have maybe a little compromise. If he puts those sticks in this year, the snow sticks, see how it goes, watch it, and then if they damage the trees again, then maybe you would be more willing to let us put that in. I don't know, but you said postpone it anyway, so.
Just for 2 weeks. I don't want to wait until the trees get damaged. Somebody runs into a tree and knocks it over, then what have we gained?
Okay, so you'll notify me when you're gonna make a decision, right?
With this board will make a decision with no later than our next meeting,
Okay, so I don't.
which is 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how the calendar falls.
So will someone notify me, or do I just need not to come back?
Certainly, just call my office if you would, please, and give both your telephone numbers so we'll stay in touch with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we do have a motion in front of us to table this until our next meeting,
Second that motion.
and we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have a request for street closure. Keith Stevens, Indiana Earth Incorporated, is requesting approval to close the westbound lane and street parking for utility hookups on 4th Street for the LaPorte County Courthouse construction project starting October 20th through the 28th, and that begins tomorrow. Is Mr. Stevens present this morning? He is not. Oh, yes, sir. Please state your name and address for the record. Okay,
James Cable with Indiana Earth.
okay, thank you. Do you have anything to add to this request, or?
No, it's just for the street closures for the LaPorte County Courthouse.
And I know, Amber, you were contacted about this directly.
I was, but I did reach out to Ms. Tillman because our buses park there, so I'm not sure the extent that it may affect or disrupt or anything with our busing. So I asked Ms. Tillman to be here so that we could discuss that to make sure there wasn't any interruption.
Okay, that's fine. Ms. Tillman?
Robin Tillman, Michigan City Transit Director. 4th Street is a major connection point for our transit system, and I've already spoke with Lieutenant Lineski about moving our bus stop temporarily between 5th and 6th on Pine. We have to have space to line up all the units in order to do a transfer for those units, and he said he would put out no parking sign to allow us to achieve that. We can do a press release because this is happening tomorrow,
Yeah,
from
exactly.
what I understand. I don't
Is
know
any
that-
other comments or questions from the board, or?
Well, Mr. President, I'm just having a little bit of a hard time envisioning how far along 4th Street do you want to close?
Not 4th Street, it would, the closure. It has a marking in the illustration right at the corner of,
Of Pine and 4th?
Yeah,
that's where the closure would start,
And how far west would it go?
to Washington.
All the way from Pine to Washington
Even
on?
though the work is between the, though the work is between the library area and the courthouse, we wouldn't be able to pass traveling through the buses.
Okay. And did you say that you have a way of addressing that?
Yeah, an alternate route. And
Okay,
that would be moving the bus stop to Pine Street between 4th and 5th.
so there'll be no hiccups in
No
your-
hiccups, no trees. It allows us to pull in and off and allow traffic to pass.
Okay.
And
Thank you,
then we travel straight up to 12 and go around to Washington.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Tillman.
You're welcome.
do we have any other comments or questions from the board? Any from the public? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the street closure for that time period, October 20th through the 28th.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have agreement for professional services, an agreement between the City of Michigan City Board of Works and Safety and Arnett Construction to provide certain repairs to the roof of the Michigan City Fire Department Station Number 1 located at 1012 Ohio Street in the sum of $38,100 plus the cost to replace any deck boards. Is anyone from Arnett Construction here today? No, I see Chief Krivic is here. Do you have anything you need to add to this, Chief? No? Okay, Amber, have you reviewed this agreement?
Yes, I have. So Chief Kreback went out and solicited 3 quotes. Our net construction is the lowest, most responsive, in the amount of $38,100 for repairs to the Michigan City Station 1 roof. So I have reviewed the contract and also the insurance, and everything is in order.
Thank you.
And there is funding for it as well.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board?
I have just one, Mr. President. The sum of $38,100 plus the cost to replace any deck boards. Chief, is your roof built up on wood decking? I thought it would be built up on corrugated metal decking or something a little bit more durable.
The current roof has the OSB underlayment underneath, so everything that would be replaced. We do have a water issue at Station 1, so there will be some OSB plywood, the decking, as it's called, that would need to be replaced. How much until they get the roof tore off,
Okay.
I can't give an exact number, but we're hopeful it's just in the one isolated area that it'd be.
Okay, well, I would like to know some type of a time frame because these projects seem to drag on or start whenever they're convenient for the contractor.
So, Mayor, we did put that in the contract. It's going to begin within 2 weeks upon execution of this document. And once it's started, it'll be completed within 1 week. So we gave a little bit of options, weather permitting. We didn't know how weather was going to turn out this week.
That's great. Thank you, Ms. LePage. Okay, thank you, Chief.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement for professional services to the Michigan City Fire Department, Station Number 1, to be completed within 1 week after the start. The start be within 2 weeks of today's date. The lowest and most responsive bid is from Arnett Construction in a sum of $38,100. And that is also, there's going to be a cost to replace the deck boards.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have request for signage. Michael and Renata Samuels, 215 South Woodland Ave, are requesting a deaf child in area sign for their son's safety, asking for it to be placed at the north and south and northbound traffic lanes at their residence.
Good morning, Board. City Councilman at Large, Don Przbolinski, 215 Gardena Street. And the reason I'm here this morning is to discuss with the Board the installation of these, and I don't know what the correct terminology, if it's deaf child in area sign or however it's stated on the sign. And Michael and Renita Samuels, the parents of this young boy that's deaf, they couldn't be here today because they had to work. So I told them I would represent them. And just to begin, I was notified 2 weeks ago by, her name is Susan Baldwin, who is a teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing for the Michigan City area schools. And she's also the director of the First Step Parent Advisory from the Center for Deaf and Hard of Hearing of Northwest Indiana, and that's out of Indianapolis. And she requested and told me the story of what's going on with the little boy, and the parents are wanting these signs to be posted by their house at 215 South Woodland Ave, because the little boy was fitted with hearing aids or a hearing device, but when he does not have that hearing device on, he is told he cannot hear a thing. So their fear is if the little boy goes outside and for some reason, steps out in the traffic, they want the people to be aware that he is in the area, that there is a child with this condition. So with that being said, that's a simple request, and I think it's a valid request. If any one of us had a child in the same situation, I think that we would want that in our neighborhood, especially around our home. So I will leave the board with that. If you have any questions, You know, you can ask, but I think it's pretty forthright of what the parents are asking for. And when you get a call from a person like Susan Baldwin, with her credentials and being with the Michigan City area schools for at least 20-some years doing what she does, I believe it's a pretty important issue both for her and for the family that has this little boy. Thank you.
Thank you. Captain Lineski, I'd like some input from traffic, please.
Good morning, Captain Jeff Lineski, Traffic Division. It's been the past practice of this board to deny such requests because the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is the manual that guides all of the sign placement within the municipality, doesn't specifically prohibit signs, but it didn't recognize that specific sign. However, it's come to my attention that the City Council has recently discussed creating an ordinance that would allow for a process for people to come before this board to apply for such signs. In the meantime, there's been some email discussions back and forth between myself, the city engineer, and the city attorney's office. During those discussions, we determined that the MUTCD does not specifically prohibit this type of signage, and that if it's this board's, I guess, recommendation that we could actually allow this type of signage to be installed. I don't know if that needs to wait until the city council creates their process for coming before the board, or if this board can just approve it today.
Thank you. Yes, Sam.
I believe the council passed that ordinance some time ago, and there is a specific application that goes with it. So what we would just probably need is the parents to fill out that application and be part of our record, because it has an ongoing duty for them to report back to the city. I think it may be on an annual basis that they still live there, so the sign should still be installed.
Okay. Thank you.
If that's the case, then we would recommend approval.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Comments, questions from the board?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that the request be approved.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Actually, under the specifications that our attorney recommended that they fill out whatever forms it is that's necessary. And I don't know if that's with your office or with the clerk.
I believe the clerk has it, but this may be our first one, so I'll follow up with them after the
Okay,
meeting.
all right, thank you. Okay, so I'm assuming the motion in the second incorporates everything that Amber has?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, very good. Yes, sir.
Yeah, if I may, just a question for the city attorney, because I, you know, with the mask on and everything, things are kind of mumbled. So if you could, Amber, so is there a process then that these parents have to come down to City Hall and fill out a application?
I think what
to
could
get the sign
happen,
put in?
yeah, I think what could happen is that the application could just be sent to them by the clerk's office. Generally, the clerk's office will follow up with whoever the requester is and fill out the application. And then at that point, when we get the application, they've already made the motion to approve it subject to receipt of the application.
Right.
So once we get that, then it could be installed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you. Move on to the claims docket, municipal claims in the amount of $1,050,320.08. CDBG in the amount of $1,990.35. Health and Life, $321,266.28. Workman's compensation, $43,053.10. Zoo and Casino, $494.66, for total claims of $1,417,124.47.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that the payment of the claims docket be approved in the amount of $1,417,124.47.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the claims. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign, motion carries. Move on to the October 9th, 2020 city payroll docket in the amount of $558,836.18.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll docket in the sum of $558,836.18.
I'll second that motion, Mr.
Okay, we
President.
have a motion and a second to approve the October 9th payroll. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Move on to unfinished business. First on the list is Kevin Dwan from NICD requesting road closure to replace the tracks and railroad ties at the intersection 11th and Michigan Boulevard. I'm assuming NICD probably doesn't have anything additional to add. We had tabled this because we had a homeowner concerned about some sanitation issues. And I'm actually going to ask Mr. Cuss to step up regarding that, since he happens to be here today.
Good morning, Michael Cuss, General Manager, Michigan City Sanitary District. I'm not exactly sure what the request was about. I guess they wanted to close the street, make it a street closure.
Okay.
But apparently there was some issues brought up by Mr. Ken Pers about his private issue that he has or had or has with his private sewer lateral. This is something that Mr. Pers brought up to us back in May of 2018. I have some copies of some letters for the board if you guys would like them. Should I pass them out?
I don't know if the board would like them. I don't know if it's
Yes,
necessary.
at least I would like a copy, Mr. Cuss, please.
Watch your step there, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I want to make it clear that these are not the entire copies of these responses. They're like, with all the attachments, I think two of them were, one was 35 pages long, one was 40 pages long with all the attachments, but these are the letters. And basically, in summary, I'll try to be very brief. In May of 2018, he called our office to complain about a private lateral. The house that he owns, the private sewer lateral comes from his house, crosses underneath 11th Street all the way to Michigan Boulevard and ties into our sewer main on Michigan Boulevard, near the corner of 11th and Michigan Boulevard. We explained to him that it was a private issue. He called to me to tell me that he didn't really like that answer. So I told him I would look into it. I did look into it. I got back to him and told him it was a private issue. He still didn't like the answer, so we met, I think it was June 4th. He brought his contractors in. We had a long meeting. We talked about everything. We got some meeting minutes that are attached to your letter. After reviewing everything, it came out again that it was a private matter. And we explained that to him. Subsequent to that, I had an email that I sent to our attorney, Jim Meyer, and also to Virginia Hoffman. She was a technical specialist with Travelers Insurance, because I think Mr. Pers made a claim, maybe a tort claim against the district, so we turned it over to the insurance company. That's the second piece of documentation. She wanted to know if there's any historical maintenance records, and we had no records in that area except for this one situation. Also, we noted that there is not a root problem at that sanitary sewer, so we really don't have any issues with cleaning raw roots. She wanted to know how old the sewer was. We told her it was 20 years old. And she wanted to know if we had any sewers that originate near the property that he owns, and we told him no, which we don't. Then, in an effort to try to settle this tort claim with him, or maybe make some compromise, resolve the tort claim issue, I guess I should say, we explained to him again it's a private matter, but even if it was a private matter, the district has a policy where we pay 1/2 of the cost of the repair for any part of the work that happens in the public right-of-way. We had sent out a request for quotes to 4 contractors. We only received 1 quote. It was for $26,845 from Woodruff & Sons. We told him we could pay half, which would be 13 some odd $1,000, but he didn't want to do that. So we came up with another idea of putting in a force main and having our IT department actually do some of the work because they have that such equipment. The cost to the district was going to be $1,500 and the cost to Ken Pers was going to be $3,000. And we have this agreement, which is on the last page of the attachment, which he also has never responded to. And I guess, I don't know, doesn't want to do that. Seems like a good option to me. He'd have a new sewer lateral and wouldn't have to worry about it for probably forever. But anyways, the bottom line on all that is it's a private issue, and I don't see where the city has anything to do here, or the sanitary district has anything to do with this issue. And if that helps answer your question about whether you should do the street closer or not, I hope it does.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for me?
I don't. The only comment I have regarding this issue is that is looking at the maps, the drawings with Mr. Dewan 2 weeks ago. It looks, what Mr. Pers is looking for is to have his lateral situation taken care of while the street is dug up, doing the crossing repair, but it doesn't fall into that purview. So his issue is outside of the scope of what NICD's going to be doing. So, and I'm sure that Mr. Cuss even agrees with that. I mean, he knows better where this issue stands than anybody else, or as much as NICD does. I've lost my train of thought there. But in any case, I think that Mr. Pers's, and this is my personal opinion, his current issue falls outside of the scope of where NICD plans on doing their work.
You have no other questions for me or anything?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Anybody else? Okay.
No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I make a motion, Mr. President, to approve the street closure for NICD at the intersection 11th Street and Michigan Boulevard over the specified period of time.
Okay.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the street closure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Now we would need a motion to take this off of the pending list.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to remove this from the list. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have Doug Green requesting to have a stop sign installed at either Cleveland Ave and Elmer, or Cleveland Ave and Cole Court. We had tabled this to today, pending information received from the traffic division.
Yes, I did have a chance to look at this. I began by pulling the accident stats for the entire stretch of Cleveland between Cool Spring and Gardena. I found that we have not had any accidents in the 5 years that I went back. I then went out to the scene of both intersections and studied both intersections. I don't see any side obstructions that would make it dangerous to leave the roadway the way it is. It's fairly easy to pull out from both of those intersections when you're trying to pull out on the Cleveland Ave. Therefore, in the absence of any accident history or any side obstructions, I would recommend the denial of this request.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or questions from the board?
I have one question, Captain, if you would. When you do a traffic study, as I recall, Mr. Kring is worried because there's a fair amount of small children in that area. Does your traffic study also find the number of speeding violations that have been issued on that street?
In this case, I didn't. Normally, I don't, because it's been the past practice and it's established practice and within municipal engineers too, that we don't use stop signs to control speed.
I understand.
I'll give you an instance on Gardena Street in front of Gardena Playground. Recently, we installed a stop sign at a new crosswalk that we established during the whole traffic safety committee that was established a couple years ago. The original complaint was speeding vehicles on that street. Since we've installed that stop sign, our now main problem is people running the stop sign. So when you try to correct one problem, by installing stop signs, and you kind of create another problem. I've also been informed by some of the residents that do live near stop signs that once a stop sign is installed, it creates noise issues too with cars accelerating from the stop sign.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Captain.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the public? Please step up to the microphone, sir, and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Doug Crane, 2937 Cleveland. I was the petitioner. I didn't hear exactly everything he said because the mask and all that, but whatever. So where are we at with this? I mean,
Well, I think Captain Lineski was stating that the past practice has not been to use stop signs to slow traffic down. And his traffic study has indicated that it doesn't really justify adding stop signs to the area.
okay, well, I mean, I realize, and I said this in the last meeting, I realize the police can't be everywhere at once. But if they're in the neighborhood between like 4:30 and 8 o'clock and they want to sit in my parking spot or, off, on the street and do radar, they'll have plenty of tickets to write.
Okay.
I don't understand, and I'm not here to argue, where there was no accidents. I was here 2 weeks ago, or last month, my car and my son's car got totaled because a drunk was flying down Cleveland, and the policemen that would do the accident report on roughly it was 10 o'clock at night, I'm assuming it's the second shift, they estimated that he was going about 45, 50 miles an hour. So, he said there was no accidents or whatever. I can show you my accident report where my two cars were totaled. And that's all I got to say.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any comments, questions from the board, motions?
Well, it was a little bit difficult to hear that gentleman. It sounded like his concern has been accidents with vehicles going down the street coming into contact with vehicles that are parked.
That's what it
And
sounded like.
I really don't feel that a stop sign is going to affect that if we've got a lot of negligent drivers driving around, whether they're intoxicated or tired or whatever. I don't feel a stop sign is going to stop that. So I would have to say I would make a motion to deny his request.
And I would agree. I second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to deny the request for stop signs at either of these cross streets. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Do we need to make a motion to remove this? And now we need a motion to remove this item. from
Motion to
the
remove the item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to remove this from the list. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have James Taylor requesting roadway access on Huron Avenue and would also like a street light installed. We had tabled this to today's meeting. Skylar had wanted to talk to the city engineer about this issue. Did we, well, and from water and sanitation as well.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Jeff sent a letter to, hopefully the clerk's got a letter. Oh, okay, I reviewed a letter. So basically what he was saying was he would, see if I can summarize. I'm sorry, I would have brought it if I'd have known. I thought it went to the clerk's office. Basically he was saying that we would allow a drive to be put in, but they would need to talk to Jeff to design that drive. And then if there's money available, we would try to pave it at some point in time. The light issue hasn't been, we did not discuss that. I don't know that he's reviewed that quite yet. Obviously, we don't want to put a light in the middle of our right of way. We want to put it at the edge of the right of way, just so that we're not moving it later on. So anyways, that was his suggestion, was that we would allow them to put a drive in. They would need to contact Jeff, or Jeff contact them, and to discuss exactly how that right of way would need to be built. But I'll make sure you guys get that letter as well. I'm sorry, I didn't know that it wasn't submitted to the clerk's office.
Okay. Then I would recommend that we just leave this on our pending list.
Let's do that, and then I'll make sure you get the letter in the meantime. Sorry
All right,
about that.
thank you. Next we have Benita Schaaf, Main Street Association, approval to place artwork at Westcott Park. Amber, have we had any more?
So I reached out to Shannon Eason, who is our assistant park superintendent on this, because she is the liaison to the Michigan City Art Commission. She had recommended that the board remove this from the pending list, and when Ms. Eason, has all of the appropriate information, she'll just put this back on the agenda.
Okay, that makes that simple. Can we have a motion to remove this from the pending list?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to remove this from the list. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Next, we come back again to Cora Cambridge at 220 Gladys Street, requesting a NIPSCO pole and light. I do know that Mr. Wright had sent a copy of an email that he received from NIPSCO, and there is no actual fee to install a pole and a light, but there's an ongoing 6% surcharge kind of thing that over time pays for that installation. And they're willing to put the light up at the property lines there. What that 6% amounts to, I don't know.
What is that, Mr. President? That a dollar amount will be added to their bill?
Not to the city's bill.
Oh,
That's that because the city pays. Actually, I believe it's our budget that pays for, which I know has been cut, well, by the council for next year. But I think polls come and go at times too. So we add one, and we take one away. So that kind of helps with that cost. That's what I know about this. I believe Mr. Wright did email all of us with that response from NIPSCO. I don't know what questions.
well, I drove that street one evening, and unfortunately, it was a while ago, and I don't remember how well illuminated it was.
Yeah, I know there's a light at the north end and the south end of the streets, and nothing in between. And that's what Ms. Cambridge, that's her concern, is to light up more of the center of the street.
I'm going to make a motion to table this for one more meeting,
Okay.
one more period.
And I just want to add that she's been requesting something to be done with this since last.
Well, there are many issues that have been raised about some of the activity on Gladys. So that's pretty much the basis of my request to table it one more meeting. I'll talk to Chief Campbell. I'll do a little observing on my own, and I think if we can make a decision this next meeting, I'll provide input to both of you.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion to table this to the next meeting. Is there a second?
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to table this item till the next meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next we have this is Pamela Utterback from Shoreland Hills. I'm assuming we're going to continue tabling this. I think that was the discussion before, because in order to do any street work out in Shoreland Hills, we've got to find the money to do so. So I think that's going to continue to be readdressed as we move along. Is there any other thoughts on that? Okay, so we'll leave this item on the list then. see Skylar has left, but John Chalikian is next on the issue, and that's regarding access to his property off of South Franklin Street, with no input from Skylar or Mr. Wright today. I think we'll leave this on our list as well.
Yes, sir.
And finally, we have ordered to demolish 710 West 10th Street. On the 19th, well, we gave this a 30-day, I think it was our last meeting, didn't we? We gave this a 30-day extension. So we're still in the middle of that 30-day extension. So that'll stay on the list as well. Finishing up that, we'll move on to public comments. Any public comments at all? Any public comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to board comments. Oh, no.
We have a public.
No, go ahead, Paul.
Paul Przybylski, 1716 Washington Street. I talked to Mr. Wright several months ago about the situation with all these telephone poles being cut down and left in the right-of-way on the replacement from Nipsco. And I was hoping that something would get done, because I've had complaints about it. It's unsightly, and they're not being moved, I presume, because Comcast has still got their cables on it. So I don't know if the Board of Works needs to send Comcast a letter, I would presume, because that's who governs that, and tell them that, you know, they need to do something with them. Some of the poles are real close to the curb line in corners, so I don't know. I would think that the new poles that were put in were set back further. I believe that was for radius turning and safety factor on turning in on some of the corner ways. But I mean, there are a bunch of these poles, and they haven't had, you know, I mean, it just didn't happen right now. It's been going on. Some of these poles have been languishing out there for years. And I think that it would help clean up that mess. So I'm asking the board to send them a letter to ask them if they're gonna, if they have a schedule to remove this. We got to start somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments? Hearing none, are there any board comments?
I have none.
It's more of a topic of discussion rather than a comment. Some folks are maybe a little reticent about coming to public meetings because of COVID and its recent uptick. And so I'm not suggesting that we go back to virtual meetings. I just wanted to open it up for the board to see where everybody stood on the issue, whether we wanted to continue with the public meetings in this fashion or if we wanted to go make a move temporarily back to the Zoom.
Well, Mr. President, that topic is being discussed. I've noticed that these meetings at this location have put a tremendous strain on both the city's IT group manning all these activities, plus the ALCO crew. So going back virtual is being considered, although Zoom meetings, they take the strain off ALCO, but they don't take any of the strain off Michigan City's IT group. So if we go back to virtual, we'll probably go back to just a dial-up,
Okay.
where everybody has a dial-up number. There's audio, everyone has audio, no one can be muted, but there'll be no video. That's where it's at as far as I'm concerned right now.
Thank you.
Because our IT department is burning out. It's getting really hard for them.
Okay, and just to be clear, my discussion was about our meeting, not about any other city.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right, and because I know there are some boards and commissions that are still doing the Zoom meeting, and I just wanted to throw it out here to see if any member, what this board might prefer. And I know there's probably legal issues as well.
Well, for purposes of at least your November 2nd meeting, we have solicited bids for demolitions, and in the bid solicitation, they were supposed to be open and read aloud here. So in that solicitation, we advised contractors that they had to come here up to 8:30 until the board closes the time for receiving bids to submit them. So that's the only thing I can see possibly affecting this board in the near future, is the November 2nd. But other than that, I'm not aware of any other bid solicitations that we have out there that could affect it.
And nothing regarding any governor's orders or change of orders recently?
No, not right now. Under the governor's orders, we still can do virtual meetings if we so choose.
Okay, all right, thank you. So, well, at least I guess that settles that for at least our next meeting. We will be here.
I would say so. I was not aware of Ms. LePage Stallbrink's concerns. I hate to, if you do it to one board and commission, you do it to all, because I don't want to say, well, this board or commission is more important than that board. That's not right.
Okay, all right.
Everyone feels their board is very important, equally important. So
Okay.
I guess we need to talk about this a little bit more.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the board?
Yes, I would just like to point out that today's newspaper contains expert information regarding the next 12 weeks. The next 12 weeks are considered critical as far as this pandemic goes. So I would certainly support a virtual meeting for at least that period of time. Of course, that's not my decision, Your Honor, but I just wanted to state my position.
I appreciate that, Ms. Keating. I was not aware of that. My number one concern always has been, always will be, the safety of everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board?
No, sir.
Hearing none, we have one last order of business, and that's adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. We are adjourned.